So, one block we still miss, that is the data processing functions. Okay, on the conference in Shanghai, I talked to one of the industrial members and he said, okay, put all the data into one big box and you can get out whatever you want. We thought that over and figured out, okay, that is a Moloch. You can't handle these big machines anymore. If you have a slight change, you will end up probably in searching bugs for ages. So split that up in modules. But what kind of modules? What are the right modules for the data processing functions? I made a little example, it's a really easy one. So application example, if you want to build a share or a table or a shrink, you need skills, tools and materials. If you want to build a planning diagram or decision tool or tight slot table, you also need skills, tools and materials. Of course, you need some other skills. You need the experts, and that are the user's input. What do the user really want? And that are the programmers to bring that into running software. And okay, you need some tools. What are these tools? Operating system, programming languages, software, hardware. So, still remaining the materials. So what are the materials we are working with in the maritime world and in the VTM? These are the data objects. This is the wood our applications are built of. And what are these data objects? Data objects are traffic objects describing the vessels, not only the vessels, all moving targets or floating targets somewhere out there, like safe and rescue aircrafts. We have other objects. We need to build our applications. These are meteorological and hydrological data. We call environmental objects. Okay, we need electronic charts. Not only that, we probably want to know a bit more about offshore wind farm site, so also that data should be covered there. And okay, and we have some more other information we call shipping or shipping industry related objects. Our templates, reports, information about the stakeholders which have to be linked, and so forth. So right now, bring that into our picture again and call these value-added data processing services. Again, the service idea, leave the internals to those who are really experts to these data processing, knowing about tracking modes or chart updates and formats. Leave it to them and just get the data out of the interfaces of these services. So, then we have to do a final step. We integrate all that into one generic system. The data collection and transfer services, the value-added data processing services, the user interaction service, and the gateway service. And for those of you who may be in the ENAF committee or familiar with the ENAF structure, you will find about the same as in the generic shore-based ENAF architecture. This is the generic shore-based ENAF architecture. What wonder? It's a generic system. You can use it for VTM or for VTS or for any other purpose. So, finally, what is the conclusion? The question was how to react by VTM requirements by electronic means. The answer, by one system of services that can compose any application. So, I'm already done, and I give you a last an image of when you're heading towards Kiel and the ship wharf in Kiel. Thank you.
Thank you, Dirk, for that lucid engineering reaction to the VTM requirements, and I'll get in touch with you later on for the 5-minute joke. But instead, what I'd like to do now is introduce our next speaker, Captain Tayfun Yalçın, who graduated from the Turkish Merchant Marine Academy and worked as a deck officer, chief officer, and master mariners for 9 years in Turkish and Belize flag ships. In 1998, he came ashore to work as a port captain and inspector in Turkey and other Black Sea countries. Since 2001, he's been a VTS supervisor with the Director General of Coastal Safety at the Istanbul VTS, and of course, he's another veteran of the VTS committee. Captain Yalçın, please.
Thank you, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, my presentation is about emergency situation management and its implementation in the Turkish Straits. First of all, I want to define emergency management. Emergency situation management is the discipline of dealing with and avoiding imminent risks or risk realized. The discipline also involves the preparation for emergency situation before it occurs as a part of risk management. Risk management is a continuous and developing process which runs throughout the strategy and involves 3 phases: risk mitigation, action plans for emergency situations, and implementations. I am going to talk about risk management firstly to clarify emergency situation management. Actually, as a part of risk management, risk mitigation is the most important phase and differs from the other phases because it contains long-term measures and it's the most cost-efficient method to prevent or to reduce the impact of emergency situations. Initial activity to mitigation is the identification of risk, considering vulnerability. Mitigative measures can be structural or non-structural. Structural measures are use mainly technological solutions like VTS and ATOM. Non-structural measures include mainly legislation and insurance. Action plans and implementation form emergency situation management. Before continuing emergency management, I want to give some information about the Turkish Straits. Turkish Straits consist of Istanbul Strait, the vessels navigating area of Marmara Sea, and the Çanakkale Strait. Total length of the Turkish Straits is 164 nautical miles, and it's one of the longest and narrowest waterway in the world. The Istanbul Strait is 1 nautical mile of average width and the narrowest point of 700 meters. There are 12 sharp bends, and the sharpest one is required 80 degrees course alteration. The shorelines of Istanbul is densely populated, and vessels often pass within just meters of houses, schools, and historical places. Beyond the historical importance of the Turkish Straits, there is another important point should be emphasized, that everyday citizens of Istanbul use the strait as an integral part of their daily lives. Boats and car ferries cross it approximately 2,500 times every day, carrying in about 2 million people between 2 continents. This graph shows annual vessel passage in the Istanbul Strait. Every year,